Hey guys, welcome to the world of Josh Adams. My name is Josh, and if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm on a journey to overcome my own personal challenges, which for me includes food, drug, and alcohol addiction. And then my goal is to live out my bucket list. And in doing so, I hope that I can inspire you to overcome any challenges in your life so that you can also live out your dreams as well. So I've been doing a lot of thinking lately about the future of my channel, and in doing so I realized, I think I've been going about this the wrong way. I've just been focused on me and my story, but my real goal is to be able to help people like you to overcome any challenges that you face in your life so that you can live out your dreams also. And how I want to do that is to start to get other people involved in my channel, sharing their stories about obstacles that they've overcome in their life so that we can all realize that we're in this together, no matter what the struggle is. So I'm very excited. Today I will be sharing with you guys an interview that I did with a friend of mine. Her name is Aimee. She has a YouTube channel which I want you to check out. I'm going to post a link down below, but the channel is called Water's Wife. She is a vlogger, mother, amazing person, and why I wanted to share her story with you is because she has been through an incredible hardship. Aimee and her husband Tyson met in 2005 and were married 2 years later. After years of trying to get pregnant, they decided that having children wasn't in their future. They both embarked on weight loss journeys and decided to document their lives through their YouTube channel. In 2016, Aimee unexpectedly discovered that she was pregnant. She documented her reaction and pregnancy on her vlog.
I have been nauseous all day, and I'm thinking there's a teeny microscopic possibility that I'm pregnant. 0.00001% chance. So I thought I would just swing by Target really fast and grab a test just to put my mind at ease, and we'll go from there. This is like the 30th failed pregnancy attempt, I'm sure. It's still going. This is negative. I can try again, but I don't think this is what it is. Oh my god! I've never seen one be positive. I don't know what to feel right now. Oh my god. Be meeting our doctor for the first time and meeting our baby for the first time.
That looks good, you guys. Heart rate looks good.
6 months into the pregnancy, tragedy struck.
Okay, so update. I haven't really felt Beckett moving since Monday. I think I felt him yesterday, but I just really can't recall specific. So I just started getting really worried tonight because I haven't felt him at all today, and all the tips and tricks aren't helping. So we're just gonna come into the hospital and basically make them let me hear his heartbeat, because surely I can't be the first neurotic first time mom. So Tyson drove me. I'm sure I'm totally overreacting, but anyway, that's the update. So they couldn't find it with the little Doppler thing, so they're just getting the ultrasound now, which has happened once before, so I just get to see him at least.
It's like the worst thing to have to film, but
Coming up, I sit down with Aimee for an in-depth interview about her experience with child loss and how her story has impacted lost families throughout the world. All right, well, I really appreciate you doing this, first of all, and I'm super excited for you to be able to tell your story, and I hope that it will help a lot of people, because I really, one of the things that I wanted to tell you is that we've known each other for a long time, And I have such admiration for you in what you've gone through and how you've been able to, turn a really difficult situation into spreading awareness for other parents who are going through the same thing. And you've really just made something beautiful out of a really difficult situation. So I wanted to invite you to come on my channel here so that you could tell your story, because I know that there's a lot of people who will really relate to it, and hopefully it will help somebody. So with that, I would like to turn this over to you and let you just share your story.
Where to start with our story? So my husband and I met. You were there while we were dating. We've been friends that long.
I know. We go way back.
We met in 2005, and then we got married in 2007. And we took a couple of years, and then we were just like, we were back and forth about kids, and then ultimately we were like, yeah, let's have two. And we had two names that we had picked out when we were dating, and but we were like, okay, yeah, I think we're gonna try to have kids. So it was like 2009, 2010, and then just kind of like testing, seeing if we would get pregnant. We didn't. We worked on our health a lot in that time frame. We both had weight loss surgery in 2011, and so we just kind of focused on our weight. And then it was probably about 2012, 2013. Those 2 years we were just like really gung-ho trying to get pregnant. Still wasn't happening. I had lost a significant amount of weight. And so it was just kind of disheartening, because I was doing everything that you were supposed to do to get pregnant, and it still wasn't working. So our insurance at the time wouldn't cover fertility treatment, but it would cover for me to, go see a doctor and just kind of at least get diagnosed to see if there was something to diagnose. And there really wasn't any explanations. I didn't have PCOS. Like, they just didn't have any reason for me not getting pregnant. So we tried a few different hormones, and the hormone treatments coupled with depression of not getting pregnant just kind of really started making my weight loss goals just fall to the side. And it was just really, really frustrating and devastating, and we couldn't afford to do any further treatments. We couldn't afford to adopt, and we just kind of were hitting dead ends everywhere. So I would say probably in 2014, we decided to stop trying and just decide that it was just going to be the two of us and our cats, and we were okay with that. I say we were okay with that, but I had to go to therapy. Right. I went to therapy for many reasons. I went to therapy, but I went to therapy to just accept the fact that I wasn't going to be a mother. And I started vlogging because I was bored. Right. I would go to work and I'd come home and I had no real hobby, and I liked watching vloggers, and I was like, I could do that, So I just kind of toyed around, started getting the camera more involved in my life, and just kind of chatting about our childless life. And one day in 2016, it was February, I was at work, and so we hadn't been trying for 2 years now. I was at work, and my lunch just started making me sick. And it was, like I said, it's February, so I was like, am I getting the flu? Like, what's going on here? And so I threw away my lunch. I went to a meeting. I was just really kind of nauseous the whole time. Everybody was joking and saying, oh, you're pregnant. And as somebody who had been trying for so long, that was such a, I hate when people say things like that, because I'm like, I'm not. Thank you. I wish I was. And, it's just one of those things where you're just like, I wish people wouldn't joke about that. But I went back to my desk, and my lunch was in my garbage can, and I could just smell it, and I was just getting so sick. And so I was like, I've got to go home. And all my coworkers still were razzing me. You need to get a pregnancy test. We know you're pregnant. And I was just getting mad at this point. Like, just stop it, I cannot get pregnant. We've tried for 7 years. And so my boss let me go home. I swung by the pharmacy and picked up a test just to prove my coworkers wrong. I went home. Tyson wasn't home. My husband wasn't home. And I took a pregnancy test. And it said positive. It said, it was a digital one. It said pregnant, not even just positive. It said pregnant.
Right.
And it said 3+ weeks, which is like the highest that number would show, which is kind of confusing because that would really put you at 6+ weeks. And I was like, what? So now, not only is this telling me I'm pregnant, this is telling me I'm kind of farther along than most people find out.
Right.
And so I was just like, no. I called my husband. I'm like, please come home from work. I don't feel well. Like, I don't want to tell him on the phone. And he's like, I'm in the middle of a meeting. If I'm coming home because you don't feel well, then I'm taking you to the hospital because I'm crying. And I'm like, okay, no, like, just finish your day. So it was like the longest few hours ever. He came home and I was just sobbing and telling him, when I told him, I was sobbing and saying, I'm sorry, because we had decided we weren't going to get pregnant. Like, we weren't going to have kids. And so I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, anyway, well, we were pregnant and it was just shocking and completely life-changing. We had never planned, we lived in Utah at the time, we'd never planned on putting down roots there. In fact, later that summer, we were planning on maybe moving to the Pacific Northwest. And we were just like, what are we gonna do? We had not planned on this. And so, you know, we decided, well, let's build a house here and stay here for a few more years and have help from family. So we completely changed our whole life plan and prepared, and we found out it was a little boy. So we prepared for this little boy to join our life. Like, we had just, even though he was someone we really, really wanted, we had just not anticipated him coming. And so we just, like I said, we just completely stopped dead in our tracks of our plan and changed everything so that we could build a life for him.
Now, through all of that, you're still vlogging, right?
Yes, I was still vlogging all of it. I vlogged the whole, like, finding out, and, like, I had zoomed in on the test, and so I'm so, like, the vlogger in me is so bummed because I'd zoomed in on the test, and then I flipped the camera to myself and didn't realize I was still zoomed. So you have this giant picture of my face, and I'm just, like, sobbing, and I'm like, I've never seen it say positive before, and I'm like, what do I do? And, like, and it was like moments like that where I'm just like, I'm so glad. Like, my first instinct was to grab the camera. And, like, I filmed in the parking lot of the pharmacy and was just like, this is probably never going to be put out because it's probably going to be negative. And this will be the, like, seriously, probably would have been the 200th test I would have taken that would have said negative. And I'm like, I'm not even going to bother putting this in a vlog if it's negative. I'll throw away all these clips. It's just, it's not going to say it. And so it was just like second nature to have my camera and film those moments, you know? And yeah, so I filmed Tyson's reaction, all of that. I filmed that later, like that night, I took more tests and I was like, it's still saying positive, like,
Right.
You know? And we filmed like our first ultrasound. We filmed all of, like, I filmed all of my thoughts and feelings going into each appointments and stuff. And it was probably my second appointment, they had a little bit of trouble finding his heartbeat. And I was like, it was really scary. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I think I was 16 weeks at that point. And so they had to bring in the ultrasound and they checked and they finally found him. He was fine. Everything was great. But I was just like, I loved having all the ultrasound pictures and seeing the comparisons. And we made like weekly and monthly updates on our vlog. We involved all of our viewers. They were so excited. We did like name reveal, all of that.
Right.
And at 24 weeks, that's the age of viability on average. At 24 weeks, if your baby is born early, they will do everything medically possible to save the life of your baby because at that age, they're considered viable. And we did a vlog on that. Like, we were so excited. And we also actually made a vlog saying that he would probably be our only child because it was such a crazy miracle that we even got pregnant with him. So he was going to be our only baby. And 2 weeks later, I was at work and I realized I hadn't felt him moving that day. So it was 26 weeks. And I tried everything all day long. I stayed at work the whole day. All day long I tried like pushing on my belly. I tried drinking cold water. I tried doing my hypnobirthing breathing because I'd had a hypnobirthing class earlier that week and he was moving like crazy with my breathing and stuff. It wasn't working. And I went home and it was the season premiere of Big Brother. So my husband and I were watching that. We'd called our OB and left a message for her to call us back because I was just like, I still haven't felt him. And tried everything again, tried laying on my sides, tried eating sugar, all the tips and tricks. Still nothing. Big Brother ends and we still didn't have a call back. And my husband's like, let's just go to the hospital. Worst case scenario, they'll tell us we're crazy and send us home. Like, he'll be fine. So like, okay, so I vlogged us driving there and I'm crying because I'm a stress case. And I'm like, we're going to go in there. They're going to find his heartbeat. And I'm surely not the first neurotic first-time mom, you know?
Right.
I'm like, this is going to be so silly. And so we go, they put us into a room. Like I noticed that they kind of like take us down this like weird hallway that's like farther away from all the other, like I can hear all the commotion of other women's rooms down this way and they're taking us over here. And they first try with just a Doppler, just the thing that only hears the heartbeat. They couldn't find the heartbeat. So they're like, we're going to go get an ultrasound. And they go get the ultrasound, they bring it in, and as soon as they put the wand on me, I knew he looked different. Like normally where the heart is, you see the fluttering, and I didn't see that, but I was like, I'm just really stressed out. I'm sure everything is still fine. You know, this isn't happening. And so they kind of were looking and they were kind of quiet and they're like, we're going to go get another doctor. Like, 'cause this was the nurses. They're like, we're going to go get the doctor. I'm like, okay, yeah, like everything's going to be fine. And I turned to my husband and I was like, you make sure to film all of this. Because I could feel myself starting to, I don't know how to describe it. I could feel myself like, I don't want to say leaving my body, but I could feel myself checking out. And I knew that I would want to see all of this. I wasn't wanting him to film it to make a video at that point. But being vloggers, we had our camera and I just wanted him to film it so I could see. Because I knew that I wasn't going to be present for anything that was about to happen. Right. And the next doctor came in, checked again, and said the words that every lost mom dreads. And that is, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. And I don't even recognize the sounds that came out of me after that. We had wanted this little boy so bad for so many years. And to finally have him in our life and then to have him taken away just as quickly, there was just no way to describe that feeling.
Yeah,
and
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, like it's something you don't even anticipate because we had made it past the magical 12 weeks. So we were out of the miscarriage window. We had made it to 24 weeks. So we were past viability. We were at 26 weeks. And at that point, it was like less development. Like he still had more development to do, of course, but it was more about like he was just needing to gain weight and then he would have been fine. Had he been born, he would have lived. And with all the statistics and odds, the statistics were on our side if he had been able to be born. Right. But he passed before he was born. And that is also a mind twist. Like, how do you die before you're born? Like, it's hard because we say that his, like, stillbirth day is June 24th, but in actuality, he died a few days before that. You know, so if we were to have a headstone for him, like his death date would be 2 days before his birth date. So it's just like things like that that just mess with your mind, and they're things like that that you just shouldn't ever have to think about. But yet, 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a loss, and that's not just at miscarriage state. And even, it doesn't matter to me what stage you lose your child, it's devastating. Whether you just found out you were pregnant or whether you are delivering your baby, like, it is just as devastating.
Of course.
Hearing so many stories from so many women, it's just loss is loss.
So I wanted to ask you about that, actually, because so you said that you had gone through that whole process, you were filming. What prompted you to go ahead and share that with your followers?
It was a really difficult decision. We had, like I said, we actually had 2 days of me laboring. I labored for 42 hours. And a lot of people will ask why I didn't have a C-section. I didn't want to have to heal physically as well as emotionally. So I was thankful that with the laws the way they are and with the staff at the hospital they allowed me to make every decision. Like that, this was my labor to have, and they let me choose to have it how I wanted to. And to my knowledge, this was still going to be my only pregnancy, and I wanted to do vaginal birth. And so what happened is while I was laboring, there were people in and out of our room. Our family family came from out of state. Everybody was there to support us, but I felt so alone in that room. Full of people, I felt alone.
Yeah.
And I started looking on YouTube because that's my go-to. And I couldn't find anyone that had really shared their stillbirth story in a way that I felt like I would be prepared for what I was about to experience. People talked about their losses. I saw videos like that. But I couldn't find anything where anyone explained it to me or showed it to me. And I still just couldn't feel prepared at all. And so I still kept asking my husband and the people in the room with us to keep filming for me, because again, I was half there and half not. I remember a lot of it, but a lot of it I remember because of video. And we filmed a ton of footage that has never been released because that was never intended for anyone else.
Sure.
But while I was there, I was like, I will share what I feel comfortable with because I don't want anyone else to feel this way. At that point, it was kind of like I couldn't be naive anymore. And I knew that there would be many more families that would experience this, but I didn't want them to feel alone in the way that I was. And so after he was born and we kept filming, we filmed a lot of footage of him, and we had a couple of days between birthing him and when he was cremated, and then both my husband and I, we took medical leave from work. And so we had some time to sit and think, and I decided that it was about a week later, I decided I wanted to just sit down and just kind of edit a little bit of a birth vlog and just see how I felt editing it. And I took a few of the clips and just kind of pieced things together and really just opened my dark soul into it. And I showed my husband it, and he was like, that's really dark. The music I put with it was pretty heavy. And I was like, that's how I felt though. That's how I feel. That's how this experience felt. And so we sat on that edit for a few days, and then we were like, okay, I want to show this. And as soon as I hit publish, I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Right.
But there's been no looking back since. And when you share that part of your life, something so deep like that, you have to know that you're opening yourself up for everything that's going to come with it. There was a lot of negative comments. Still to this day, 4 years later, I get a lot of negative comments. But that is like this much compared to this much support that we get, again, still to this day on that video. I did end up putting, so there was that video, and I did make 2 more videos that kind of included footage of him at the hospital, and then the last one was our decision to cremate him and our last moments with him. And again, I really only shared probably 5 to 10% of the footage that we had. So a lot of people feel like I shared everything because I was very open, but there's a lot that is very sacred and will never be seen by anyone besides my husband and I and family. And but those videos went on to have, 2 of them are at almost 2 million views. One of them is at almost 1. And the amount of women and lost families that I have met since then has just been incredible. The amount of stories that people, when people meet us and they're willing to open their heart and share their stories and let me feel the honor and privilege of knowing their child or children. I'm talking to one woman right now who's had 12 losses, which includes miscarriage, stillbirth, and neonatal.
Wow.
And infant loss. And I don't know how anyone can do that. I only had 1 loss, and I know how much it completely devastated my life and completely changed my life. That hearing women who've had multiple, it's just like, but all I can do is take my place in the weaving of a safety net of other lost women and other lost caregivers, and be there for the next person that falls into that hole of despair of child loss. And that's ultimately my goal, is to just continue to be the best support I can for other lost parents.
That's truly amazing. I mean, you just to be that vulnerable and open up and share with the world, like, that's really courageous of you to have done that. Talk to me a little bit about how the responses that you've gotten from people, how did that help you navigate the grieving process?
Grief is very much like the ocean, and people say this a lot, and I've kind of made it my own life mantra, like, you have to brave the waves. And why I'm saying that is because every day is so very different. And so there will be days where, like, let's just focus on the positive response. There'll be days where I need that positive response. I need the comfort of other people going through similar experiences with me. And then there'll be other days where my grief is in a place where I just cannot hear another story. As positive and welcoming and beautiful as it is, I cannot hear that story that day because I just can't take one more ounce of pain on. We kind of take each other's pain on. That's part of the role as a lost mom, is you literally knit your soul with someone else's. And so there's days where I just have to not check my DMs, but there's other days where I need the response to help me, or I need to have a situation where I can reach out and help someone else, because I have a whole bunch of built up energy that I need to expel, and I need somewhere to put that. And so I'm going to put that on helping this person and that person, if at all possible,
Absolutely.
So that's the tricky thing with emotions, is you can think that you understand them, and the next day they take a turn and you're like, what?
Yeah.
That was so helpful to me last week, and now I can't stand it. I don't want to be near it. So it's hard to say, but it's just the motivation of hearing what other people are going through and knowing that we're all here to help each other. It just keeps me motivated through all of the thick of all the grief.
Absolutely. You know, it's so interesting to hear your perspective from a YouTube and filming and documenting perspective, because I can relate a lot to that in my own experience with sharing my struggle when it comes to addiction. And it takes a level of vulnerability to be able to open up and share like really dark experiences that we've gone through with the world at large, or people in general, especially in a culture where people are so, especially online, you know, people are like these keyboard warriors and they'll just say the most hateful things. But on the flip side of that, though, I think that the help that you offer to other people who are going through the same situation is so powerful. And the fact that you've been willing to, you know, put yourself out there and share your lives with other people in such an intimate way it's a testament to your courage, your bravery, and it's awesome that it's really helped people. It seems like it really has provided a lot of help. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you for saying that. Like, I just know that there's so many people who have helped me, and not just lost parents, like so many of our friends and family, including you. You were very much there through your own muddle of stuff to go through.
Right.
Like, it makes you realize that we can all be going through such completely different life experiences, but at the very core of it, we're all just vulnerable people, and we need each other. You
Absolutely.
know? Other people are tangible, real things. And people find comfort in all sorts of things. And I'm so glad for that. And I will encourage anything that will help people find comfort, as long as it's safe
Right.
and healthy. But other people are real and tangible. And under non-corona circumstances, you can hug someone else and feel them and realize that we're all just humans. And, you know, just listening to someone else's story can give such incredible insight and perspective into your own story.
Absolutely.
And we can all find a way to relate.
How have you found, by sharing your story and by helping other women who are going through these similar experiences, how has that helped you in coping with loss, and, you know, as far as, progressing through that grieving process? How has that helped you?
I mean, like, at the very least, it's just helpful to know that I'm not alone, and that what I'm feeling is real and valid. And you kind of get different responses. So, of course, a lot of response that we get is that we shouldn't share our stories. It's still a very much taboo topic, and that we should focus on positivity, and dark things just really shouldn't be shared, and they should be kept personal. And that's hard, because then you don't feel like you can relate to anyone, because you don't get to hear anyone else's story. On the flip side, and the opposite end of the spectrum, is you hear people who, this is where it gets a little controversial, people who are saying, only look at the positive. Everything is a life lesson. Everything needs to be taken as sunshine and rainbows, and we'll find the positivity in everything. And there's such value in that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be positive and find positive things, but we have to also understand that we have to be true to our real feelings. And that was probably some of the best advice that someone gave me, was find the strength, find the positivity, keep moving forward. Moving forward is not the same as moving on, but we all still have to live and move forward with each day. But be real and be honest. It's okay to have hard days. It's okay to feel what you're feeling in that moment. And if it's sheer happiness, feel that. A lot of lost moms feel like they can't have happiness, that they can't feel happy. And that's not fair to yourself. Feel the happiness. But also, when you feel that grief coming on, like a wave, you have to let it embrace you. And when you embrace it and let it wash over you, that's when you can accept it. You can't push a wave away. If you push it away, it'll come back stronger. And then you push it away and it comes back stronger until it takes over you, because you cannot keep pushing it away. So what's the way to handle it? Accept it. Have that dark day. Have that day where you can't get out of bed. Have that day where you just can't function. And then the next day you pick yourself up and you find the way to keep moving forward. And hearing other women and hearing how they're doing that gives me the strength and motivation to keep doing that myself.
That's awesome. You know, when you were talking about that, the thing that kind of struck me in my own experience is, you know, without the hard experiences and without the quote unquote negative emotions, I wouldn't be able to have an understanding and appreciation for the positive, the happiness and the joy. And I think that that's been a very valuable lesson for me in my own recovery and going through this journey, is that because of the hard experiences that I've been through and because of feeling the lowest of the low, I can have more appreciation for when I do have the happiness and the joy. And it just gives me a true sense of gratitude.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I never knew what it felt like to hold a child of my own. And I will forever be grateful that I got to hold my son. And all of the negativity, all of the sorrow, all of the pain, all of the years of grief that have followed and will follow were worth it. And there are days where I do question if it was worth it. But it was worth it to hold him and to just know that he was mine. For as short of amount of time he was real, he was mine, and he meant something not only to me, but to other people. And when you're finding out that you're going to be a parent, you think you're going to teach your children about the world, but now I get to teach the world about my son. And millions of people know about my son now.
That's amazing.
Because of YouTube.
That's amazing. And I think it's awesome too, in the sense that, you know, you guys have done such a great job of carrying on his memory. And I want you to talk a little bit about what's happened in the years since then, because I know your life has changed a lot more, you know. But I just love how you honor him still through all of this.
Thank you. Yeah, life changed again. Not everyone is lucky enough to go on and have another child after their loss. And this is where I'll get emotional. We got pregnant on the first try after we lost Beckett. After years of unexplained infertility. And so then the following year, we had our daughter Mallory. And knowing that not everyone gets another chance is something that I will forever value and never forget. And it's just, it's not her place to fill the hole that Beckett left. That hole will forever be there. As with any parent when they have an additional child, my heart just grew. And she has her very own place in my heart. It's not her place to bring me joy or bring value to my life. But because I have her and because I've found other purposes in my life, I'm able to find things to do and find ways to channel my grief and my energy. And yeah, she's 3 now. And
and
as
she's
I mentioned,
adorable, I have to say.
She's fun. She actually, we hear a lot that a lot of people will say she looks like Beckett. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm not seeing where people are seeing that. But just the other day we took a picture and I was like, that right there, that she looks just like her big brother in that picture. And it is weird saying that she has a big brother because he's just a little baby.
Right.
In my mind, he's always a little baby, and he forever will be. But and that also could be a whole nother story to tell about how to raise a child, and not put your grief on them, because that's not their responsibility to bear.
Right.
But to also kind of honor the fact that she does have a brother. She started preschool, and the teacher said, if you have a brother, if you have a mother, put your finger on your nose. If you have a brother, tug your ear. And she tugs her ear because she does have a brother. She knows she has a brother named Beckett. But as far as further than that, we explain it in simple terms when she asks, but she still doesn't. She's 3. So she doesn't quite get it, but we will always respect the fact that he is going to be a member of our family. He's just not here.
Right.
But yeah, so we had our 3-year-old, and I mentioned that we had initially thought we were going to move to the Pacific Northwest when we found out we were pregnant with Beckett, and we just moved here.
That's awesome.
We managed to make that dream come true, and instead of raising our little boy here, we're going to raise our little girl here. And it's been a very intriguing year. We never thought we'd move in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Life circumstances kind of pushed us to be forced to, but it was fine. And now we're here, and now there's fires and smoke everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the ocean is where my soul feels free, and where things make sense while not making sense. And my favorite thing is every morning Mallory wakes up and says, beach day. And while we can't drive 2 hours to the beach every day, we do take her quite often. And I love that she loves it, because then I can also just sit there and just soak it in and see the waves. Seeing actual waves and knowing how I relate grief to them is just, it's breathtaking.
That's amazing. And you know, I can relate a lot to that because I'm now in Florida. And so I just feel so connected when I go to the beach, and I don't know, it's almost like a spiritual experience in a way. Like, it allows me to connect with nature and with a power greater than myself, and I just love that. So I can relate a lot to that. But it's interesting that you relate the waves to grief. You know, I had not thought of it in that perspective, but that's such a fitting analogy for it, for sure.
It was a quote that we heard very early on after we lost Beckett, and just about how grief is like the ocean, and you know, you just have to take each wave at a time. And our last name is Waters.
Right.
And so it just hit me so deep in my core, and I was just like, this is it. This is the life motto that I have to have, is brave the waves. And not only brave the waves, but brave them together. And I've even further than that have heard a lot of people talking about, like, during this 2020 year, how we're all in the same boat. And I heard someone say, no, we're not all in the same boat. We're all on the same river, but we all have different boats. And some of us are in little dinky boats, and some of us are in giant yachts. And so what that means is that our life circumstance and how we get through that river is different, but we're all going through that river together. And sometimes our little dinky boat becomes a yacht, and sometimes it comes back down. But like, there's just so many water analogies. Like, I could go all day about it, but but it was just like, just hearing different quotes like that. I am just a quote junkie, and I just love taking them and just really applying them to my life.
Well, now when I watch your videos and I hear the waves at the beginning, I will understand it's got a deeper meaning. So that's good. That's awesome. Well, listen, so what's next? What's the goal for the future?
What's the goal? As soon as Mallory is out of preschool and into grade school, and that will free up my days, please let our children be able to go back to school in person.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a preschool teacher, but here I am.
Here
I
you
never thought
are.
I'd be a mom, but here I am. When I have my days free, I always worked in the medical field before this, and I instead, we had a dear friend come and take photos of Beckett during his birth, and helped with the camera because, you know, we needed a videographer, but she helped with the videoing as well. And I really, since vlogging and since knowing how much I value having that footage and those pictures from when I was going through Beckett's birth, I really want to get into videography for births in general, but specifically stillbirths. And not just the actual birth, but the moments after, the moments where the parents are holding their children, but also the months and years after that. Grief continues, and I want to capture those moments for people and let them see themselves in a photo and see their grief and see the anguish on their face, how beautiful that can be. Because that means you loved someone so much that it felt like that when you lost them. And see how you look. I would love to give that to other families.
That is so powerful.
Focus on that.
Wow. Finding beauty in the pain. That's really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have so much respect for you, and I just cannot thank you enough. Like, this has been really powerful for me. I knew that your story was powerful, but to hear it from the perspective of what you were feeling as you were going through and like documenting it and sharing it with the world, like I think that's an interesting story, and I thank you for sharing it with me.
Thank you. Well, I feel honored that you're even having me on your series, and especially this close to October's Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. So the fact that you even wanted to share a loss story during this time is amazing, because a lot of people tend to not think about lost families when it doesn't affect them directly. So the fact that you're using your platform to help spotlight on that important topic means a lot to me. And it's not a surprise because your heart is full of gold, but
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. And I'll be taking some of your inspiration and your heart of gold, and hopefully helping on my channel. I'm also going to be doing a series all month long on loss, so including other families and hearing their stories and touching on different topics and just kind of having further conversations and more in-depth conversations on each topic. So just thank you for getting that kicked off for me.
Yeah.
And allowing us to talk.
Of course. I'm definitely going to post a link to your channel down below in my description, so please go visit Aimee's channel. It's called Water's Wife on YouTube. Check her out and go see that beautiful baby. She's
not a baby
getting so
anymore.
big. I know. I was just going to say she's getting so big. She's got like personality, and I love it. Attitude.
She's a three-nager for sure.
Yeah. Well, great. That's awesome. Well, listen, Aimee, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. And it really means a lot to me. And I think this is definitely going to touch a lot of people. So thank you.
I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for watching that interview. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it was helpful. Aimee is such an inspiring person, in my opinion, and I just absolutely love her. So please go check out her channel. Again, I'll post a link down below in the description. If you have a story that you would like to share on my channel, please contact me and let me know. You can reach me on any of my social media pages, which I will include links for in the description. You can also visit my website at joshadamsbucketlist.com. Also, if you would like to contribute a donation to help support this channel, please visit my website. My goal is to use any of those donations to help not only support this channel, but also to help people realize their bucket list dreams. And of course, all donations are greatly appreciated. I want this channel to be a place where you can come and realize that you're not alone. Whatever the struggle is that you're facing, you are not alone. I want this to be a community that helps support each other, lifts each other up, instead of tearing each other down. Because at the end of the day, it should be about enjoying life, not just existing through it. So again, I thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, do me a favor and click that like and subscribe button. I will see you guys next time. Lord willing and the creek don't rise.